Mike's on.
A little after 4 on this Friday afternoon. As we get closer to Memorial Day weekend, don't worry, summer's coming sometime. Boy, that Justifies a gorgeous horse. Absolutely gorgeous. I mean, Baffin's got so many horses. It's crazy. A great trainer. He's also got so many horses. So the Met news goes from bad to worse. And listen, they haven't drafted well. They didn't do a good job in the offseason. The guys they've brought in haven't worked out. Frazier gets injured. Cespedes is injured. They now lose Legares for the season. You know, they've had nothing work out in the back of the rotation. It's unbelievable. I've had a terrible feeling about that team for about 10 days, maybe even 2 weeks, where I've just had a feeling that it's just going nowhere. And I can't shake that feeling. I just think they're awful. Seth in Manhattan. What's up, Seth?
Hey, Mike. Welcome back.
Thank you. What's happening?
I've had it. We've spoken tons of times. I'm 48 years old. I'm a huge Met fan. I mean, I've had enough already. On the field, off the field, they get what they deserve. Legares should be hurt. Something like this should happen to them. They should be embarrassed. Major League Baseball should be embarrassed.
Well, why should Legares get hurt walking into a wall? Why should that happen?
Because they shouldn't have played that game. I don't care that Toronto is not coming back. They're not miles and miles and miles away. They abuse fans like mad. They don't give you anything for sitting through that or for not being able to go to that.
I agree with that. I agree with that. Game should not have been played. I happen to agree with you that game should not have been played.
That's why they deserve that. You can't even exchange your tickets because they have so many different levels of prices of tickets for the way they designate games. They give you like
I got a lot of comments about my comment from a lot of people, including some people with the Mets, about my comment that they can't even the Mets can't even handle rain.
Yeah, they do nothing right,
and they're so unlucky too. And they're so unlucky.
It's just beyond. It's literally 3 decent years every 10, and 7 years that are awful. And now you have the Yankees, who are so good again, and did such a good job last year. I don't know how much longer I could do this. I'm not sure I can at all anymore.
Well, you know what? Out of that sometimes comes out of those dark periods. Usually comes something good, and I think this is starting to look like that again. I mean, I just have such a bad feeling about the team. And it's not about the record, because the record right now isn't awful, but I don't see anything good happening in these weeks and months ahead. I just don't see anything good happening. I don't get a good feeling about anything with this team. I really don't.
The record's only not awful because of the way they started. They're 9-18 in their last 27. How much worse could you get?
No, they're terrible. I mean, listen, and that's who they are to me. They are that team. I mean, they are that team. Jeff in Queens, what's up, Jeff?
Hey, Mike, this is first-time caller. Great to have you back on the line.
Thank you. What's up?
I saw that you were at Twitter headquarters today. You sent your first tweet out.
Yes, I did.
I'm just curious, it's a new game out here with social media and journalists alike. How are you going to take advantage of the new platform you got?
Use the Twitter platform to make comments. That's all. I mean, when I feel when it moves me, that's basically it. I mean, that's the idea. That's what I'm doing. That's why I'm using it. I'm using it. Listen, it all started in connection with the app we're producing, and so we connected to Twitter and Facebook and Instagram, obviously, because that's how this is all done. And when I went to do Twitter just as a promotional, a lot of them felt that I should get involved with Twitter, and I'd been toying with the idea for a while, and then I had some relationship or some talks with Twitter, the people themselves, with the people from the company in the last couple of days, and then went over and met with them today, and they were great. They were wonderful. It was terrific. I love being over there. We had a great time. The building's unbelievable. It's amazing how nice it is. It's just, I was shocked how nice a building it is. Damon, Long Island, what's up?
Hi, first-time caller here.
What's going on?
I had a question because I've been hearing a lot about the Mets possibly, if things keep getting worse, looking to trade DeGrom or Syndergaard. But
I don't see them trading Syndergaard, maybe DeGrom.
Okay. But I've been hearing that the Wilpons just wouldn't do business with the Yankees.
But it's very hard for both of them to do business together. It really is.
Wouldn't they be doing themselves a disservice, especially if the Braves and Yankees have the 2 deepest farm systems in the league? maybe hurting what they could get back?
It's difficult. It's difficult for them to do business together, number one. First of all, they don't get along. Secondly, the idea of having your handiwork of the trade staring you in the face is not something that they like a lot. Where the idea is your mistake, if you make one in the trade, you can own it for a long time if it's your rival in the same city. So from that standpoint, I think that it makes it they would clearly look to trade with anybody outside their division more than they would with the Yankees. They won't trade in their division, you know that. And then for the most part, they will look to trade anywhere but with the Yankees. That would be the quarter last resort. It really would.
Interesting. Thanks.
Okay, because it's just not something where it works out to their advantage. It really doesn't. Sully in Holtzville, what's up, Sully?
Hey, Mike, how are you?
Good, what's
Mike,
up?
I want to make a Yankee Met point, but at the end of the call, would you just tell me if you had a $1 bet, and you can only make a $1 bet on the Preakness, places 1 through 4 for a superfecta, how would you pick them? But you can think about that while I make this point.
I mean, am I going to use the heavy? Am I going to give you a small one with Justify on top? Well, I got to put them on top, which kills your wager. You know, it really does.
But you're still picking who you think are going to be 1 through 4 in that order.
Yeah, well, I can tell you right now, I would put Quip. I would put Justify 1. I would put Good Magic 3rd. I would put Quip in the 2nd spot and Bravazzo in the 4th spot.
Thank you.
That's what I would do, just to break it up. Go ahead.
Listen, Mike, we're the same age, and if you can relate to this, back in '69 and '86, being a Yankee fan my whole life, I rooted for the Mets then. I mean, there was no reason not to root for them. And when they did well on certain times when the Yankees were down, I didn't find any animus there.
Right.
It just seemed like in the '90s, when the Yankees got really good for a stretch, it seemed like all my Met fans and people you met, they were like vindictive and they were like angry, and it really turned sour. So from that point forward, I couldn't stop breaking their chops enough. I mean, it became a younger brother, older brother thing where you wanted to strangle them. Right now, I can't even find the energy to break my friends' chops anymore. I mean, I feel bad for them. It's not even, a give and take anymore. I mean,
I think that's fair.
Can you relate to that?
Yeah, I can. I really think the time that bothered the Yankee fan was the 80s, was the Strawberry Gooden, Hernandez Mets, because they really they overshadowed the Yankees. They really did. They're the one time
had that great lineup,
right?
Mike,
and they still overshadowed them.
Pitching.
Let's be honest. The Yankees in those days, they won the most games in the American League in the 80s and never won anything. And they finished second every year, and they hit great, and they couldn't pitch a lick, and we all know the team they had. And they had a really good team, but it never got noticed. And it never got noticed while the Mets were good, and the Mets were the story. So that is the team that I think really bothered Yankee fans, because that team got a lot of attention. And rightly so, it earned it. It was a championship team. It should have won more than one championship. It was kind of snake-bit in its own right. I've always been of the opinion that if there had been a wild card in those days, the Mets would have won in the short series more. They probably would have won another championship, because they didn't have the ability to get in on the wild card, and they lost some heartbreakers, obviously. And then losing to the Dodgers in '88 the way they did, after dominating them in the regular season. Jason in Clifton, what's up, Jason?
Mike, welcome back.
Thank you.
I was watching the Alabama championship game, thinking I would love to hear what Mike has to say on this one when you weren't on the air at that time. But
I'll tell you something. That was at halftime. I would have said to you what I said to people. I said change quarterbacks, but I had no idea that guy. Then the question I had in the fourth quarter was this: why wasn't he starting? I mean, he was so good, but why, if he's that good, we even playing the other guy at quarterback?
Yeah, it was unbelievable.
How about going to the bench and getting that kind of kid off a bench? It's like finding Steve Young on the bench.
Yeah, it was incredible. But I wanted to ask you, Mike, how do you think this gambling is going to impact the media as far as access to the games now? Whether the information that they get on a regular basis, does this turn into like inside information?
No, I think I don't think that will change. Listen. Remember, we've had legalized gambling for a long time. We just haven't had it on a state-to-state basis. It's not like we haven't had it. You've had it in Las Vegas, so you've had it legally. Or that's why what the league is talking about, what the teams are talking about, is a scam. When they tell you we have to now be paid a credibility tax or an integrity tax. Really? Yeah. Where was your tax when Vegas was running these illegal bets all these years? You didn't give Vegas $1. Vegas didn't get $1. Vegas did not have to pay $1 to any of these leagues. Why now, if you're in the state of New Jersey, are you going to pay the leagues when Vegas hasn't paid the league $1 stone their whole life? So if I'm New Jersey, is what I'm saying right now. I'm giving you the same thing Vegas always gave you. Nothing. And that's why the NFL, the NBA, Major League Baseball, the NHL, the NCAA, they are going to put a ton of money into the coffers of senators and congressmen, and they are trying to get them to write legislation. The only question is, what legislation can they write to overcome what was just done by the Supreme Court? So I don't think they can force these states into it, so they're going to have to deal state to state with everybody, which they don't want to do because they think it's going to impact how much money they get. Sonny in Malvern, what's up, Sonny?
Hey, Mike, two things, one Mets and one hockey, if I may.
Yes.
The Mets, listen, I know they got to rebuild this team. They got to get young positional players like all these other contenders. And everyone's talking about DeGrom and Syndergaard, but mostly, DeGrom is probably the biggest bargaining chip. But, Mike, is there another way of turning this team around besides giving away, DeGrom?
Yes, absolutely.
And how is that? They have nobody in their farm system, and they have no really other, chips to give away.
They have a core. If they would go out and spend some money wisely and spend some money, I think they could get back into it. Now, the question is this. Are they going to be able to compete with the Braves in 2 years? That's the question. Because the Braves have such a dynamic young talent right now. Is it possible for them? But the Mets need to go out and spend some money to do it. I think they could do it without breaking this down completely. I absolutely believe it could be done, but it's not going to be the cheapest thing in the world. They're going to have to spend some money to do it. You cannot do it without spending some money. There's no way you will be able to do it on the cheap. That will not happen. You're going to have to spend some money to do it. Back after this.